What if I told you Cristiano Ronaldo isn't chasing records anymore? He's chasing time itself. At 39, while others fade, he's eyeing 1,000 career goals. Impossible. That's what they said the first 800 times. But what drives a man who's already conquered everything? The answer isn't glory, it's something far darker. Stay with me. We'll explain everything in this video. Step by step. Don't skip it. What a story we're witnessing. Cristiano Ronaldo, yes, that relentless machine of ambition has hit another milestone, and he's not stopping there. He's now setting his sights on an almost mythical number, 1,000 career goals. Unbelievable, maybe for anyone else, but this is Ronaldo. From Madeira's narrow streets to the grandest stages of football, this man has rewritten what limit means. Just when the world thinks he's done, he finds another mountain to climb, another record to chase. It's not about proving the critics wrong anymore. It's about proving himself right. And look at his form. Still sharp, still explosive, still hunting. Each goal a statement, each celebration a reminder that hunger doesn't fade with age, it deepens. This isn't nostalgia, it's defiance wrapped in excellence. As defenders half his age gasp for breath, Ronaldo keeps charging forward. He's not chasing history. History is sprinting to keep up with him. 1,000 goals, some might laugh. But if football has taught us anything, it's this: when Ronaldo says he's hungry for more, the world better believe him. Cristiano Ronaldo stands once again at the center of football's grand theater, where the lights never dim and the expectations never fade. Every generation produces talents, but only a handful rewrite the laws of the game. And Ronaldo has done that with an iron will that refuses decline. At an age where most players have turned to legacy tours and quiet retirements, he continues to sharpen his edge. The milestone he has just reached is not a closing chapter. It's a declaration that pursuit still burns inside him. When he says he's hungry for more, it's not a slogan. It's a reflection of a career powered by obsession, discipline, and the refusal to yield. He began with little more than raw speed and unshakable belief. In Sporting Lisbon, his hunger caught the eyes of giants. At Manchester United, it evolved into structure and purpose under pressure. Every step was a transformation. Body, mind, and instinct shaped through years of repetition. The trademark free kicks, the lethal headers, the ruthless positioning in the box, all built through design, not chance. When he moved to Real Madrid, the transformation became myth. There he became the embodiment of inevitability, a player who could bend a match to his will through force, personality, and unrelenting drive. The goals came in waves, each one chiseling another line into the record books. What separates Ronaldo from others isn't just talent, it's his unbroken continuity of hunger. Even after surpassing the benchmarks that define greatness, he keeps resetting the target. A century of international goals wasn't enough. 5 Ballon d'Or trophies weren't enough. Multiple Champions League titles, league crowns in 3 different countries, records shattered across continents. None of it muted his inner voice that demands more. It's not about applause or approval. It's about the need to compete with the image of himself that exists in his mind. Flawless, relentless, immortal. His body has changed. His speed has evolved. But the essence remains untouched. The modern Ronaldo doesn't depend on the explosive runs of youth. He relies on positioning born of experience, timing that borders on supernatural precision, and the psychological warfare that comes from knowing every defender studies him yet still can't stop him. He is not the same athlete who dazzled a decade ago. He is sharper, more efficient, more dangerous. Age hasn't eroded him and has refined him. To reach 1,000 goals is to chase a frontier that feels almost fictional. Yet for Ronaldo, fiction and reality often blur. He turns imagination into record, ambition into mathematics. The milestones he breaks are not isolated. They are part of a larger architecture of dominance that stretches across decades. Each time he scores, there's a visible echo of the boy from Madeira still running towards something he can't yet touch. That tension, the gap between achieved glory and unreachable perfection, is the fuel that keeps him alive in this sport. The hunger isn't performative, it's survival. From the moment Cristiano Ronaldo laced his boots on the cracked pitches of Madeira, something different radiated from him. A defiance. A silent oath to outwork every opponent and outlast every obstacle. The hunger was never about fame or validation, it was about control. About bending the limits of what a human body and mind can sustain in pursuit of perfection. His career has been a blueprint of transformation. Each phase of his journey is marked by evolution, not chance. The skinny teenager who arrived in Manchester carried the same fire as the seasoned predator now rewriting records in his late 30s. The difference lies in mastery of self, of space, of the game's psychology. When he first burst into global attention, he was raw energy personified, Stepova's pace, flair, a chaos that thrilled and frustrated in equal measure. But within that chaos was calculation. He studied everything: the angles, the movements, the defenders' patterns. At Manchester United, he learned control under pressure. Discipline replaced indulgence. The flair became weaponized precision. The winger turned into a forward who could dictate the rhythm of a match by instinct alone. Every training session became an experiment in self-engineering. Every criticism became fuel. When others slept, he refined. When others celebrated, he recalibrated. The move to Real Madrid was less a transfer than a declaration of intent. They're surrounded by global stars. He elevated himself beyond celebrity into myth. The Santiago Bernabeu became his stage of inevitability. Game after game, he performed with a kind of mechanical ferocity. Goal after goal, season after season. The consistency was unnatural. Yet it was entirely human in origin, built from repetition and will. He broke records that seemed eternal, turning the impossible into the expected. Opponents stopped hoping to stop him, they started hoping to survive him. The roar that followed each goal wasn't celebration, it was release, a manifestation of years compressed into moments of execution. Behind the glamour, his regime bordered on monastic. Diet, sleep, recovery, micro-level detail, every element of his existence was recalibrated toward endurance. The body became a vessel for precision. Injuries were treated not as setbacks but as data points, while others relied on momentum. Ronaldo relied on process. The machine-like regularity of his performances wasn't coincidence, it was architecture. His training routines, his positioning drills, his recovery cycles, they all fed into a self-sustaining rhythm. The hunger that once came from proving himself to the world transformed into the hunger to conquer time itself. Even as his explosiveness softened with age, his mind compensated. His runs became shorter, sharper, more lethal. He learned to occupy defenders psychologically before the ball even arrived. He stopped chasing the game and made the game come to him. That evolution defines why he remains relevant beyond expectation. The milestones no longer surprise, they confirm. Every match now carries the same silent tension, not whether he will score, but how he will reinvent inevitability again. Cristiano Ronaldo exists as an unbroken experiment in sustaining hunger. His defining feature is not speed, power, or technical perfection. It is the endurance of ambition. Long after most players would have settled into reflection, he continues to operate as if every match still determines his worth. The essence of his success lies in this mental continuity. It's the refusal to be satisfied, the refusal to internalize completion. When one record falls, he constructs another. The concept of enough does not exist in his vocabulary. This mindset isolates him from peers because it demands a level of self-inflicted pressure that few can survive without collapse. For Ronaldo, the discomfort is not punishment, it's home. Early in his career, hunger meant survival, escaping the limitations of background, geography, and expectation. Later, it became a weapon, a force that turned games, that intimidated opponents, that electrified stadiums. Now it functions as his identity. Every performance, every training session, every headline is filtered through this relentless need to move forward. He doesn't just chase numbers, he reconstructs meaning through them. Records are not decorations, they are proof that the inner fire hasn't dimmed. Even after surpassing landmarks that football once considered unreachable, he rewrites the goalposts of possibility. The next milestone, the next victory, the next perfect strike, all serve a single purpose, the preservation of the inner engine that defines him. The world has tried repeatedly to measure Ronaldo's greatness through comparison, but comparison is inadequate. He operates outside traditional frameworks. His rivals fade, his coaches change, his teams evolve, but his drive remains in perfect alignment with itself. This self-sustaining system of motivation functions without external validation. Awards, applause, and fame are consequences, not objectives. What drives him is an internal dialogue, an ongoing contest between who he is and who he imagines himself becoming. That imagined version, the ideal Ronaldo, remains unreachable by design. It keeps him chasing. It keeps him from decay. Each goal, regardless of the context, carries psychological weight. It reaffirms continuity, whether it's a penalty in a quiet league match or a decisive strike in an international final. The intent behind it is identical. Sustained momentum, avoid stagnation. Every season becomes another test of endurance, another opportunity to extend the narrative that began decades ago. When his legs grow heavier, his instincts sharpen. When the body hesitates, the mind anticipates faster. The hunger evolves in texture but never in volume. Observers often interpret this hunger as ego, but is something colder and more exact. It is obsession stripped of emotion, a controlled burn that never extinguishes. Ronaldo's smile after a goal is not celebration, it's confirmation that the system still functions. His entire existence in football depends on that mechanism continuing. The trophies on his shelves represent historical achievement, but the real battle is internal, fought in silence, between the satisfaction of mastery and the fear of decline. That fear is what keeps him invincible, because it denies him rest. The modern version of Cristiano Ronaldo represents the rarest form of adaptation in elite sport. Where most athletes decline as physical attributes fade, he has rebuilt himself repeatedly, refusing to obey the natural curve of time. His early identity relied on acceleration, power, and flair. An athlete sculpted from pure explosiveness. Over the years, he transformed that raw dynamism into precision, removing excess movement, calculating every step, every angle, every second. What remains is not a player chasing lost youth, but an evolved machine built on data, experience, and anticipation. His movements now are deliberate, minimal, and ruthlessly effective. Every run is designed for purpose. Every pause manipulates defenders. Age has not slowed him, it has refined him into something colder, sharper, and more mechanical in efficiency. This transformation is not instinctive, it is engineered. Ronaldo disassembled his own game and reconstructed it according to what his body could still produce at maximum capacity. He stripped away dependence on pace, replaced it with positioning. He traded dribbles for timing, traded spectacle for certainty. The result is a version of himself that no longer needs chaos to dominate. He reads defensive lines like equations, finds fractions of space that most players never notice, and executes decisions before defenders can process movement. The evolution from winger to pure finisher is not regression, it is strategic survival. Each reinvention allowed him to extend his dominance while others faded under the same physical laws. Behind that process lies an understanding few players possess. The body is a finite resource, but control is infinite. Ronaldo's training now revolves around preservation as much as performance. Recovery, diet, sleep, and mental calibration form an ecosystem of sustainability. His daily routines are tuned to maintain a specific physiological balance. This system allows him to perform at levels that contradict his age. The muscles may slow, but the mind compensates with timing that is surgical. When he moves into position before a cross, it's not instinct alone. It's years of accumulated data translated into immediate execution. His presence on the field carries a psychological gravity. Defenders know they are being studied as much as they are trying to stop him. Every subtle movement, shoulder feint, delayed sprint, disguised glance, serves a calculated function. He uses stillness as a weapon, understanding that hesitation can be more destructive than speed. The efficiency of his modern game exposes the illusion that aging equals decline. What he demonstrates instead is evolution through reduction, less movement, more meaning, fewer chances, higher conversion, the spectacle of youth replaced by the authority of mastery. In this stage of his career, every touch carries intent distilled through decades of repetition. He no longer overwhelms through volume, but through inevitability. When the ball reaches him, the outcome feels predetermined. The stadium holds its breath, not because he might score, but because the collective memory of his precision tells them he will. The athlete who once thrived on chaos now thrives on inevitability, transforming simplicity into dominance. The pursuit of 1,000 goals is not a statement of arrogance for Cristiano Ronaldo. It is the natural extension of a lifetime built on exceeding thresholds. Each era of his career has been defined by numbers that once seemed unreachable, yet he turned them into routine benchmarks. What he is attempting now transcends statistics. It's a psychological confrontation with finality itself. The number 1,000 represents a boundary that separates the extraordinary from the impossible. For Ronaldo, it is not about applause or immortality. It is about validation of the system he created, proof that relentless repetition and discipline can bend the laws of endurance. Every goal from this point forward carries symbolic weight, a demonstration that ambition, when refined through control, can continue long after biology dictates decline. He operates now in a dimension where performance is measured not only by physical ability, but by the precision of maintenance. Every meal, every training cycle, every minute of rest functions within an ecosystem designed to extend performance output. He studies fatigue the way others study opponents. He calibrates his energy to peak at decisive moments. The body has become a laboratory, and the results are visible in the way he maintains efficiency against time itself. He no longer seeks to dominate matches through volume. He dominates them through inevitability. The audience no longer wonders if he will score, but when. To reach 1,000 goals would require a level of consistency across eras, leagues, and competitions that has no precedent. The psychological toll of that pursuit is immense. Yet for Ronaldo, pressure has always been oxygen. He converts scrutiny into energy, criticism into calculation. The hunger for more is not emotion, it is architecture. He builds his motivation the way engineers build systems, measured, structured, precise. When he steps onto the pitch, it is not just a contest against opponents, but against entropy, against the slow erosion of sharpness that ends most careers quietly. He refuses quiet. His presence still commands space and narrative because he treats every match as evidence that the systems still work. What makes this stage of his career compelling is the weight of self-awareness. He knows the world watches for signs of decline. He uses that gaze as fuel. The smallest mistake becomes motivation to correct. The slightest slowdown becomes data to analyze. This hyper-awareness keeps him relevant, keeps him dangerous. There is no nostalgia in his game, no clinging to what was. Instead, there is a constant recalibration toward what can still be achieved. The 1,000-goal mark is the physical representation of an inner philosophy that has guided him since the beginning. Control every variable, accept no limit, and transform repetition into evolution. Every record he has broken exists as scaffolding for the next ascent. The miles that once defined greatness now function as stepping stones. He moves forward with the same cold focus that defined his rise. The target is distant, almost mythical, but for Ronaldo, that is the point. The further the goal, the longer the hunger survives. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.